Hey everyone, Monk here, and this here is my Magden PVE DPS guide for solo dungeons and trials. Warden has always been my favorite class to play in ESO, be it PvP or PvE, and with the new direction of ZOS towards a hybrid system has made the class even stronger. So here it goes. To start with race, Khajiit, Dunmer and High Elf. All three of them are top options for this build. I prefer Khajiit because of their crit damage and extra health passive. But if you do go with any of the other two, DPS numbers will be less than 1% here and there. So choose any and you are good to go. For the Mundus stone, Thief is the clear winner. However, Shadow is also not too far behind, but Thief comes out on top because it just works great in every situation, especially for solo arenas and trials, and of course almost with every setup combination. For the food, we are using standard Magicka and health food. However, if you do find yourself struggling with a bit of sustain, then go with the Parse food giving Magicka and Magicka recovery. With Khajiit's health passive and maturation passives from Warden, you should safely be in about 21 to 22,000 health zone. For the potions, we are using the standard spell power pots. For the CP, the three most important slottables that you will always keep on are Master at Arms, Deadly Aim and Fighting Finesse. The last slot will either be Backstabber or Biting Aura, depending on where you are. For solo arenas and some trials such as Sunspire where you cannot always be behind the boss, slot Biting Aura, and rest of the places Backstabber will be your go-to CP. And now I'll show you the solo setup, skills and rotation, and then we move on to the dungeons and trial setups. So for the solo we are using one piece of medium slime claw on head or shoulder. Then on the body and jewelry we have 5 pieces of perfected false god. With 2 lines of crit, Minor Slayer, Major Expedition and Mag Return on kills makes this one of the best solo sets. The second set is Diamond's Victory. It's a craftable set and despite the recent changes, it is still one of the strongest sets after Ceruria. On the back bar, we have infused Maelstrom Staff and of course the last piece is Ring of the Pale Order. All the jewelry will be bloodthirsty and with spell damage enchant. The other options for Magden which also works well are Elemental Catalyst and Medusa. If you do use Catalyst, then make sure to run a shock glyph on the back bar, and with Medusa, we will not be using Trap or Channeled Acceleration. For the skills on the front bar, we have Blue Betty, Fetcher Infection, Dave Fisher, Force Pulse, Bird of Prey, and Ice Comet as the ultimate. Ice Comet can also be replaced with Dawnbreaker, which does come handy in execute situation where our main ultimate will not be ready before the fight ends, and Dawnbreaker just gives that slight push for more damage towards the end. Bird of Prey is here to give us minor berserk, increasing our damage done by 5% and also speed on demand when needed. On the back bar we have Barbed Trap or Channeled Acceleration, Harness Magicka, Ice Fortress to give us almost 6,000 resistances and minor protection, Winter's Revenge, Wall of Elements, and Elemental Rage as our main ultimate. Now you might have also noticed that I'm not using the bear, and the reason for that is simple. In solo arenas, fights are too short and the real potential of bear starts after 25%. However, if you do want to play with the bear, then go ahead, it's a perfectly viable option. For the rotation, we will pre-buff with Channel Acceleration, Blue Betty, Ice Fortress and drop the Destro ultimate. Immediately after that, start your rotation by casting Dave Fisher, followed by Fetcher Infection, Wall of Elements and Winter's Revenge. Then you will do another Dave Fisher, followed by 2 Force Pulse. After this, it's a rinse and repeat. Whenever you have to cast any buff skills, that is Betty, Ice Fortress or Channel Acceleration, replace one cast of Force Pulse with one of these skills. During the execute, we will still keep the rotation same, except for the last 200 to 300,000 health, where you would only use Deep Fisher and spam Force Pulse while keeping Fetcher Infection active. For the dungeons again, we have the same setup with a few key changes. If you have a healer in the group, then instead of Pale Order Ring, we will use Death Dealer's Fate, and Bird of Prey will be replaced with Mystic Orbs. Rest of the skills and rotations will remain exactly as for the solo setup. And now let's move on to the single target setup for the trials. So on the body, 2 standard pieces we have are a medium head or shoulder of Slimecraw and on leg Harpooner's Skill. The first 5-piece set we are using is Bahsei's Mania, one of the strongest set in the game given you learn how to play with it. And then the second 5-piece set is Diamond's Victory. The reason these two sets work the best with this build is because both of them not only buff our magic damage but at the same time all physical damage as well, and we do have a lot of it. On the back bar is the usual infused Maelstrom Inferno, and instances where Kilt is not usable, replace it with one extra medium head or shoulder of Zaan, or with a Death Dealer's Fate Ring. The other option to Bahsei, if you don't like to play with this, would be Siroria or Mother Sora. But remember, if you do choose these options, we would have to make changes in our skill setups and rotation, which of course I'll showcase in a bit. So for the Bahsei and Damon's Victory setup, the skill we have on front bar are Camo Hunter, Fetcher Infection, Subterranean Assault, Barb Trap, and Screaming Cliff Racer. On the back bar we have Blue Betty, Degeneration, Scalding Rune, Winter's Revenge, and Wall of Elements. Eternal Guardian will be slotted on both bars as our main ultimate. And like I mentioned before, if you do use Siroria or Mother Sorrow, then make sure to make these changes. Replace Camo Hunter with Inner Light and change the Sub-Assault morph to Deep Fissure. There will be a rotation change also, but more of that when we get to rotation. Also, if you do go with the original setup of Bahsei and Damon's Victory and have any issues sustaining your stamina for Subterranean Assault, then change the Blue Betty to Bull Edge, and if you do need to slot a shield, then replace it with Degeneration. Now for the rotation, let's check out the Bahsei and Damon's Victory rotation first, and remember this is the most damage oriented setup. So as a pre-buff, use Blue Betty and then start your rotation by casting Sub-Assault, Rune, Trap, and from this point you will start light attack weaving. So continue with Fetcher Infection, Wall, Winter's Revenge. And now comes the second leg of our opening rotation. So again, continue with Sub-Assault, Degen, Bear, and 3 Cliff Racers. After this is a 2-line static rotation with 3 dynamic skills. So for the repeat portion, start with Sub-Assault, Fetcher, Wall, Winter, Rune, Cliff Racer, and then again Sub-Assault, Degeneration, followed by 3 Cliff Racers. All the Cliff Racers here are basically flex spots, and it doesn't matter which part of the rotation you are on. Whenever you need to recast Trap, Bear, or Blue Betty, replace the Cliff Racer with one of these skills. During the execute, that is the last 200 to 300,000 or sub 2% boss health, just use Sub-Assault and spam Cliff Racer or Bear when ready. And now for the rotation, if you're using the Siroria or Mother Sorrow setup, we start again with Blue Betty as a pre-buff, followed by Deep Fissure, Rune, Trap, and now start light attack weaving with Deep Fissure, Wall, Winter, Deep Fissure, Fetcher, Degen, Deep Fissure, Bear, Cliff Racer. After this, for the repeat portion of rotation, it will be Deep Fissure, Rune, Cliff Racer, Deep Fissure, Wall, Winter, Deep Fissure, Fetcher, Degen, Deep Fissure, and 2 Cliff Racers. Just like before, whenever you have to recast Blue Betty, Bear, or Trap, replace it with one of the Cliff Racers. And now let's have a quick look at the setup for AoE trash fights. On the body we have one piece of Scoria with 3 Bahsei's Mania and 3 Mechanical Acuity. For the jewelry we will use 3 pieces of Burning Spellweave, and for the weapons it would be a Nirnhound Lightning Staff of Acuity with Poison Glyph on the front and an infused BSW Inferno on the back bar with Weapon Damage Glyph. If you don't have a BSW staff, which a lot of people don't, then as alternate you can also use Medusa with Damon's Victory. In this case, drop Bahsei and go with 5 pieces of both Medusa and Damon's Victory. For the skills on the front bar, we have Blue Betty, Mystic Orbs, Sub-Assault, Elemental Ring, and Bird of Prey with Flawless Dawnbreaker as the ultimate. On back bar, we have Channeled Acceleration, Harness Magicka, Proximity Detonation, Winter's Revenge, and Wall of Elements with Elemental Rage as our main ultimate. Rotation for trash is pretty simple. We pre-buff with Channel Acceleration, Blue Betty, Proximity Detonation, and drop the Destro ulti. After this, for the repeat portion, it will be Sub-Assault, Wall, Winter Orbs, and 2 Elemental Rings. Then again, Sub-Assault followed by 5 Elemental Rings. After this is a rinse and repeat. On a quick note, do not refresh the Proximity Detonation after the first hit. For the rest part, keep up the Wall, Winter Orbs, and spam Elemental Ring. And now it's time for the single target Parse video. So I'll leave you here, and in case if you have any questions or comments or feedback, then feel free to post them below in comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. See you soon in the next video.